Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Q&A, which today is brought to you from the garden because preparations are afoot because today is my birthday. Hey, lovely. I get prizes. Fantastic. Kind of pales in insignificance when you're 52. Kind of takes the sting out of it, like when you're a kid. I'm 7 3/4, that kind of thing. But still, very nice. People will come round. We will have drinks. We will have some food. Thanks. What's not to like? So, right, for the introduction, I'll need my glasses. Prepared as normal. Yeah, you better read these things, don't I? Right, GTA 5, Zap Arona says, speak slowly, mate. Not only Brits listening, and they probably got an issue to understand. Slow down. Well, Soprano, what I'll do is I'll probably try and get you some subtitles. No, joking apart, I do understand it. Having said that, the Sunday Q&A is already ridiculously long. If I have to start speaking slowly, it's going to go into Marvel film territories. But if anyone knows out there, I think there is a way that you can actually get some kind of audio description, whereas YouTube will pick up on what you're saying. And, you know, like the Google Translate or a Google something or other will actually throw up subtitles. So if anyone knows anything about that, please do. And we can do Zach Rowe Piona a favour. Failing that, I'm just going to have to bang along as normal, mate. The kind of this Mockney style, which I seem to have developed, it's kind of a little bit me, I'm afraid. So anyway, I'm sorry if you can't catch all of it. Like I say, if there's something we can do to help the gentleman along, you know, some kind of audio description, brilliant. The nefarious Steve Campbell, TikTok, what's that? Because I'm on the TikTok now, and I'm on the Instagram as well. I don't know why. Apparently it's kind of the way forward with these things. So as usual, prepared. In a minute, there'll be a little bit comes up at the bottom by the marble heat. Yeah, hang on. In a minute, due to the wonders of modern technology, there'll be a little banner that comes up at the bottom which will show you the address that I've got on TikTok and on Instagram. It's P_the_courier_driver. There are some, because these short videos seem to work better on these things. There are some shorts which are coming onto YouTube anyway, but if you want to see them sooner, you can subscribe if you're on the Insta, if you're on the 12-year-old TikTok thing. I don't understand any of it, but it's there if you want it. I kind of figure if I'm going to make it for YouTube, I might as well whack them across. You know, all strings to your bow, isn't it? And also, Steve, he says, because he said about the funeral service, he's a bit poorly. I'm going to go into details, but all I will say, Steve, I think hopefully that one won't be too scary. I know some of them you go, oh, that one's not one you go, all to, mate, all power to you. I really hope it sorts itself out. He's got to go in, and happy birthday for tomorrow. Right, so we've done the now. So we're on the YouTube shorts, as I said, with the thing. I did one on the ratchet strap winder, and I did one on the retractable ratchet strap. Like I say, there's a few more coming up soon. Bexization says about the strap winder, the Frisbee one, brilliant idea, especially during the dark and wet winter months when you have cold hands. That strap winder really comes into its own when the straps are wet. When it's dry, no problem. When it's wet, you know, oh, this is, and you might have 5 or 6 of them. And if they're cold, and if not, even most of the gloves are leather gloves, brilliant. They get soaked within the first strap. So that strap winder, honestly, is absolute. I think they're £13. Right, coming to you before we go. Dale Steele says, "Come on, Pedro, where they sell them, kid?" Right, the Frisbee strap winder is on eBay, and I think the cheapest price on it is $13.75. And just type in drill bit strap winder or Frisbee strap winder or something like that. It should come up. And the retractable ratchet straps, which I used to tie down my pallet truck, you get a pack of 2 of them on Amazon, round about 21 quid. And you want to type in retractable ratchet straps. So there. Hong Kong Fooey says, yeah, it says the one with the retractable ratchet strap should come with gloves, a hard hat, and some safety glasses for when the hook whips back and takes your eye out, so you end up in A&E. I'll be honest, that one isn't the scary one. What is scary is with the Frisbee strap winder, when you're winding it up, when you get to near the end, slow down. As I've said before, because otherwise that metal bit has got just the right speed and just the right momentum to hit you just where you don't want it to. You do it once or twice and you go, I'm not doing that again. Right, so guys and ladies, of course, the ULEZ is changing. As of Monday the 25th, the ULEZ for vans, there is a video on it, is now going to be inside the North Circular. So that's the ultra low emission zone, not the low emission zone, which is kind of the M25, but only kind of, not quite. And that's more applicable to lorries than it is to vans. RPAD says, be aware the minimum is Euro 3 for the LEZ zone. Yeah, to go inside you need to be Euro 3 or above. If you go in with less than Euro 3, I assume they'll just hit you with a whopping great fine. Normally you can go in with Euro 3 and above it, it's a charge. Less than Euro 3. How many people out there have got vans that are less than Euro 3? I don't know. In my opinion, vans don't seem to last that long, but be aware of the fact. Steve Athers. He says, morning Pete, always love listening to your general chats. He said, my daughter drove into the zones and didn't pay and got fined, paid £80 for each zone. Yeah, my kid drove in the other day. She went to see her mate. And then she came out and she said, I don't know if I'm on the zone or not. Now, she's driving in a diesel Mini Countryman 2011. She had to, because she drove into like the central bit, she had to pay £27.50 worth of charges. And with the parking and with the diesel, she went, I should have got the train. But you learn as you go. I didn't know she'd done it. So I'm not sure on cars anyway. Tony S. Driving in London isn't easy, isn't exactly an enjoyable experience. Therefore, most people driving in London do so because they have to. My point being, charge or no charge, there will be the exact same amount of vehicles on the road. So does it really reduce emissions, or is it just to line the pockets of the government? As Dave, my mate Dave, the taxi driver, says, economic cleansing in the name of ecology. And he's a cab driver, he drives London all the time. It's a good question. But then coming back to it, I mean, would my kid not have driven in London if she'd have known there was zone charges? No, she wouldn't. So it would have reduced it by at least one car that day. Is it a way of making money? The cynical part of me says, yeah. It is. Oh, let's just stick an emission zone on, and we can just tuck up all the small owner drivers to the tune of £60, £100, £30 a day. So they're going to have to pay it anyway, and you pass the costs on. The thing is, you pass the costs on to your shipper, who passes the costs on to his customer, who puts the price of his gear up. It's just inflationary. It's just got the knock-on effect, in my opinion. Jez Mondine says, if no one pays, they're all screwed. This is true, mate. First up against the wall when the revolution comes. Problem is, we're not going to be in that situation because some people, I've got to pay. We're all going to go, I've got to pay. Otherwise I went with the fine, take me to court. So, yeah, be nice, but, power to the people remains to be seen. Sean Gill Martin, he said, I sacked off London years ago. It's no good for your health. Did it for 20 years. Latterly, 8 years, pickups, multi-drops, hospitals. He said it's stress city. That's the other answer. I mean, now I can't go inside the 25, although it is a bit of a problem because sometimes I did a job down at Tonbridge and every job you go in, I can do that with no. I can do that with no. Oh, that one's picking up inside the zone. That one's dropping off inside the zone. That one's picking up and dropping off somewhere else. Oh, no, there's a second stop inside the zone. So it is a problem. Having said that, I really don't miss going in there. So, and you will find a job. It took me a little while to find a job, but I found a job, then found one after it. So it wasn't the worst of days. Adney Drum says, hi Pete, I've been looking for a small used van at the right price for a month or so. No luck yet. If I was you, would you go ULEZ compliant vehicle or get the best deal and live with the charge? For me, if I went into the zone 3 times a week, it could wipe out the profit on a couple of jobs. If it was me, I would go for a less ULEZ compliant vehicle and just pass the charge on to the customer. Because if you're buying a new van, you're still going to have to pay the charge. You go, well, I can drive in for free. Yeah, but you've had to give another 2, 3, 4, 5 grand for that van, which is depreciating. So the money you're losing in depreciation is only the same as if you'd have bought an older van and paid the charge on top. In fact, I dare say buying an older van and paying the charge on top across the board will actually work out cheaper. JJ says, Along with the daft prices at the pump rising and running costs is why I'm downsizing to from a long wheelbase to a small Euro 6 van. I can only see more places around the country introducing the low emission zone and clean air acts. This is true. I believe Manchester's about to get one. I believe Newcastle's about to get one. I believe Oxford's about to get one. Sooner or later, all major cities will have a zone of some description. It's gonna happen. It is, in my opinion, at least a tax in disguise. David Winter would agree with you. But the government have got to be seen to tick boxes on emissions. What really needs to happen, in my opinion, is investment in a national grid to increase the number of charging points so there's greater uptake in electric commercial vehicles. Yeah, I mean, electric commercial vehicles are really the Amazon vans are there, but they do about 20 miles or maybe 40. I don't know. It's no good to me, is it, when someone says, can you take it to Newcastle and back? So, but yeah, at the moment, I've yet to see an electric lorry. I'm sure there probably are out there, and someone will go, here you go, Pete, here's a link. I'll pass it on when we get to the bit with the wise guys. But yeah, you're right. At the moment, it's just not. It's not fit for purpose. You can't do it. C11 Yen. Hello, Ian. How you doing, mate? He said, so £40 in fees for a small van, Euro 5 to go into the city. I'm not 40. I mean, it's going to cost you to drive into inside the North Circular, 15. Let me get this right. £12.50, and it's going to cost you to drive into the city £30. £27.50. So if you're going inside the North Circular, stick 15 quid on a job. If you're going into the city, stick £30 on a job. But also be aware that going 10 miles across London is very different to going 10 miles across Lincoln. 10 miles across Lincoln, you can probably do in 15-20 minutes. 10 miles across London, you can probably do in a day. So you have got to factor a time thing onto your jobs here. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to pass the cost on, because you're not going to do the job for the same money. You go, well, I'll do that. I'd normally do that job for £65. So in a small van, I'll do it for £65, knowing that £30 of it you've got to give to old Sadiq Khan. You only get 35 quid for driving into London. You have to be out of your mind. But yeah, I would say, if you can pass on just what it charges you, that's you're not asking for any more money. You're just going, this is how much it's going to cost me extra to do the job. Graham North, he said, I paid over 200 in direct debits. What a joke, will be even more this month. Yeah, mate, tell me about it. Just for me to drive, if I want to drive into the city, it's £112.50. Yeah, £100 to go into the zone and £12.50 for the congestion. I just choose not to do it. Because when you put that kind of money on a job, you price yourself out of the job anyway. The shipper doesn't want to pay that kind of money, and I don't really want to go into London, so let someone else do. Gil Martin says, Sean Gil Martin, he said, sacked London off years ago, not good for your health. Did it for, oh yeah, hang on a second. No, we've done that one. Sorry, Sean, I've written it down twice. And finally, the nefarious Steve Campbell says, you can get a set of plates made up on eBay for 12 quid. Find a van similar to yours, buy copies of the plates, drive to London, put the plates all over yours, remove them when you get back. Your van hasn't been to London. Steve, mate, you gotta stop. I'll tell you what I always fancied, like, was it Goldfinger, the Aston Martin had the revolving number plate, so you had a number plate for each country you was in. That'd be quite cool if you had your number plates and you could flick them over for some. I don't want to stuff anybody else up. Let's put some generic number that doesn't exist on there. Drive in. I had friends actually when we used to be in the market when they bought in the Ulis, the zone, whose vans were too old. Worked out where the cameras were. Used to stop round the corner, market clip a bit of cardboard to the front of the number plate, drive past the camera, take it off again. Not good, really not good, guys. It was another lifetime ago. So, right, I was off the road for 2 days. I did a lot of gardening. All these hedges around here, all the hedges around there, they've all gone down to the tidy tip, because that's now open. I don't have to make appointments anymore. I've got one of them great big sort of bags I used to do the stones on the driveway. This isn't relevant. Yeah, but I was off the road for 2 days, and I've got to be honest, it was scary. Because once we discovered it could be an ECU, I thought I could be off the road here for a week, 2 weeks, and then DAF get hold of it, and then they tell me I need an ECU, and it's going to cost me £1,000 for the ECU plus the fitting, and would it be cheaper to go and buy another lorry and maybe get this one sorted? As it was, I managed to get a guy who really knows the score with DAFs, turned up with a computer a day later at night in the pouring rain, found out it was a wire. and I've been driving it for the last 2 days here, there, and everywhere. I took the next day off just in case, and just did it for a little test drive because I didn't want to take on a job in case the job went wrong and it broke down, and I'm stuck with someone's gear on board and had to get recovered because that could be expensive. Besides, I've got edges to cut. But no, I'd done the whole thing, and no, I was very, very, very lucky. So, well done, Alice, for sorting yourself out there, and well done to my mate John, who's a superstar, who got it fixed for me. Right, 2 days off the road. Philip Eagleton, he said, glad it wasn't as bad as you feared. I've just started back this week, having to have to self-isolate for 10 days due to the COVID. Mate, good luck getting back to it, and I hope you feel all right. Steve Athers, he says, hi Pete, he says, we've got the same problem with DAF getting things done. We park in a DAF dealership in Trafford and still struggle to get jobs load, as they are so short of decent fitters. But as you said, it's only a truck and nobody is poorly or injured. So take care, take money. Yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it's just a machine. Yeah, the things in life that really matter are the things you don't even see coming, and they will hit you sideways. The truck's off the road. I've still got a bed to sleep in. I'm not hungry. I've got a family to speak to me. I ain't going to cry about it. But at the end of the day, also, I've got a family that I need to keep feeding, so I do need to get back to work. So I was very grateful. But yeah, it is a pain. The DAF's in Hemel. I've got a 2 week waiting list. DAF's in Dunstable. I've got a 2 week waiting list. It's the same everywhere. We can't get drivers. We can't get fitters. If you're making, they're charging £107 an hour. If I was charging £107 an hour, I'd seriously start recruiting some people, training them up, and getting some more lorries in, and turning it around quickly. Because if they could have said, we'll look at your lorry today, I'd have put it in. Instead, I had to scout around finding someone else to do it. So, you know, I think it's lapsadaisical myself. I think it's short-sighted business was, but what do I know? Supercross says, the problem, Pete, with DAF trucks, he said, we run 3 DAF 18 tonnes, and if you haven't already had it, when it's wet outside, I get one of many faults, brake system manufacturer. That's absolutely a sensor issue. I don't get brake sensors. What we get is what I get is drain fuel filter. If it's poured down with rain, I drive down the road, orange light comes on, beep, 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 beep. Beep, beep, beep. It sounds like the Lone Ranger. That's what it does when the lights go on. When you open the door and the lights are on, you know. I get one saying drain fuel filter, but it's an orange light, and normally after driving it for about 5-10 minutes, it goes off. It maybe the engine heats up and whatever moisture it's detected is gone. But that's the only problem I have, and I don't get scared by that because it's an orange light, and if I had to drain the fuel filter, I'd ask Mark how to do it. But yeah, no, it isn't. I suppose it's an issue with all motors. They've all got their foibles, haven't they? Comrade Bismarck says, is that Mark from Osborne in Leighton Buzzard? I take my tractor units and trailers there for PMI MOT. No, that's Mark and his son Vince, who used to work for Shaw Brothers, which is on the A5 just outside of Dunstable. He does my trucks and he does Ian's trucks up the road, and he still does the MOTs for Shaw Brothers, and he's absolutely fantastic. I said to him the other day, I was down there looking behind him. He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to see your wings. Because the guy's an angel. He must be. He knows other angels as well, like that John who come to fix me. But you know, you ring him and he's there. I'm so lucky to have him. He's such a nice guy as well. But yeah, no, that's him. Although I have used Osborne's for my tacos, because you need them for the I think that's Osborne's we use for the taco heads for the 2-year calibration and all that kind of stuff. Tony Mason says, better safe than sorry. Yeah, you're dead right, Tony. It was never a safety issue. Because the worst thing would have happened, it just would have stopped and I've had to get it recovered. It was never dangerous. The brakes were fine, the steering was fine. It was never going to ram into someone. But I just didn't want to break down, let someone down on a job, or have someone else's job. I'm kind of trying to be professional about this, and you know, I kind of, yeah, I didn't want. I thought I'm going to make sure it's 100% before I get back on the road, so I'd give it a proper go in, and it was. Thank you, Ian Merrick. He says you'd make a good project manager. Are they like for building sites project manager? My wife deals with them. You know, that kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. He said, I am driving around with reduced compression on cylinder 3 in my caddy because I can't afford the cost and time of a full strip down. You see, that's another problem, isn't it, really? You can't do that with lorries either. You can't, if it's not right and you carry on running it and you get a tug from the DVSA and they go, you got lights all over the dashboard, what are you doing? They'll take your licence away. And they'll go, right, that's it. No operators, no more trucks. We don't take no chances. It took me forever to get that licence. I ain't taking a risk. But with vans, you see some of them vans, you go, oh. I mean, don't get me wrong, Ian, I'm sure you're a very responsible man. I suppose, you know, you do a lot of comments, I know this guy's on the ball. But some of them, you see them driving down the motorway, you go, oh dear, that's scary. How low are them springs? It's like, you know, like skyrockets going like that. Can't actually see the road. The big Frankfurter, he says, my van has had a clutch, gearbox, turbo, flywheel, 2 battery injectors all in a week. You, my friend, have a jigsaw van. Penny, my first van, was a jigsaw van. The good thing about jigsaw vans is you think it's all done. Like my mate Ian, who's got the trucks up the road, he's got trucks that have done nearly 2 million miles. Now you can guarantee it's like Trigger's broom. Every part on that truck at some stage its life has probably been replaced by now. But as long as you keep maintaining them, as long as you keep on top of them, as long as they're tidy, why not? Why go and buy a new one? Just replace the bits that are broken. I mean, some vehicles do get the stage where you go, it's got so many bits broken, it's actually cheaper for me to replace it than it is to repair it. So you've got to be sensible about it, but at the same time, what's in a number plate to me? Also, new ones are much more computerised, and that's just, as I am finding out, is much more of a headache. Domain name guy says, if you'd have learned to day trade from the stock market from your phone, you could have put your phone on day trading app and had the potential to make the cost of the mechanics bill whilst in a pub looking at some red and green candles go up and down. Now, you said about this before, and I'm happy to learn all this kind of stuff. I also want to do one about things you can do when sitting on a bay. If you're there for 2 hours, maybe you can trade, but I don't know anything about the stock market. I certainly wouldn't bet my house on it, but I possibly would spend, like, I don't know, 100 quid. You think, I'll give it a go. If I lose it, I won't do it again. If I make some money, once I've got my money back, take it out, and what's mine's mine. So I am interested. So if you want to give us some more comments, show me how the app works. Alternatively, if you can make some videos about this yourself, I'm quite happy to sort of ping links over to your videos. Anyone who's interested can do it. I'm not plugging it because I don't know anything about it. But if it's the kind of things that you guys are interested in, if it's something you want to do, call it a work in progress. So we'll see where that one goes. B. Carroll, he says, I'm planning to have a spare vehicle. Now, with 4 vans, I can't afford to have drivers to sit at home indefinitely when something breaks. The problem with that, B. Carroll, is you got the extra vehicle. You've got to find someone to park it. You've got to insure it. You've got to tax it. And then maybe all the vehicles are running, and 6 weeks later, say, I paid tax, insurance, and parking on a van that's doing absolutely nothing. Well, what happens if you have a spare van sitting there? You go, hang on a second. If I'd have had a driver, I could have done that job today. I could have done that job today. So you get another driver, then you've got 5 vans and you need a spare one. I think if it gets to the stage where you've got enough vehicles, you can go, we've got 1 van off the road, but it doesn't matter because we've got 5 on, which is where I'm trying to get to right now. I mean, ideally, we've got 10 vans off the road, but it doesn't matter because we've got 100 on, I guess. Economies of scale, maybe not, I don't know, but we'll see. And the final word on this topic today goes to Ian again, Ian C11 Yan. He said, truck just needed a break. Take advantage. No prizes for working too hard all the time. It's not worth it. I know, my friend. I'm running up a hill, and I'm halfway up the hill. And I slipped a little bit, but only a little bit, and I'm going to carry on running. I'm going to try and hammer it through November, and I've got a few things. The wife's birthday's at the end of November. We've got a couple of things booked. We're going to go and see some dancer show that Molly's mate's in, somewhere in Norfolk way, I don't know. And also we're going to see Just Jack. Right, Just Jack. Everyone's going, who's Just Jack? He's the guy who sang Stars in Their Eyes. So a lot of the time you watch the BBC, it's just talking about it. It's very, very good. So we're going to go and see him in November. But hopefully in December I might try and slow down a bit and I'd like to have a couple of days off for Christmas. But you're right. You know, there's no graveyard stone that says, I wish I spent more time at work. Having said that, I've got a family to feed, and I am working on doing that. So, right, now we're coming to another regular part of the show. This is the wise guys. This is people that are telling me things that I don't know, questions that people ask. Right, Wayne Rawlins, VED is Vehicle Excise Duty. Thanks, Wayne. I didn't Google it. I'm still none the wiser. But at least I know what it stands for now, and I do appreciate the input. Thanks very much. Lee Wesker. Because I asked him about doing he was doing the deliveries, he delivers furniture. He says, I said, a bit more information, please, which he is gladly provided. He said, all my deliveries are ex-display, end-of-line models directly from the showroom. As the salespeople sell the item, then they call me to deliver to the customer. I do several different stores like DFS Furniture Village, Oakland Furniture, Benson's Bed, the Range and Homes, places like this. And what I've heard is their own delivery people are not allowed to go into store and move the furniture in the stores, so every store has to find its own local delivery firm. I did similar. when the kid was working at Laura Ashley's, and like Laura, it's exactly the same principle. Laura Ashley's would deliver Laura Ashley's furniture. You know, you paid like £1,000 for the spoons, Laura Ashley's. They would deliver it free of charge. 2 guys would turn up in a clean motor. Then if you went to the massively reduced spoon, or massively reduced sofa, which is what they really were, they would go, yeah, you can have it. That's the price. But how you ship it's your problem. We're not paying the shipping because that's the price. So then what would happen is, because the kid was in there, they would ring me. And I would get 60 quid for delivering a sofa. Sometimes I could go 2 miles. Literally pick it up from the store and drive it, because Milton Keynes is like America, and drive it like 5 blocks away and deliver it. The people were happy to pay the 60 quid because they just bought a £2,000 sofa for £800. So in their mind, they'd save 1,200 quid. If it's going to cost them another 60, so be it. And otherwise, hiring a van is a pain. But I could do 3 of them in a day. Now, when I was in a Luton, my target for the day was 250. I could get 180 quid, load all 3 up, drive around the Milton Keynes area. I could get 180 quid for 2 hours work. It only came once every 6 months because that's when Laura Ashley's had their sales. And if I could have got into more of those, it would have been a winner. So, but it strikes me that's what you've done. So well done you. Fantastic. He also goes on to say, on the note of warning on the dashboard, you can get a Bluetooth OB2 reader that will check your engine codes. It's well worth investing in these. A good one is the Blue Driver. Now, I've seen this. I've Googled it. It Bluetooths to your phone. It's 100 quid. There's also... He said, get the good one. The guy said he showed a link. There is a link to what he says, which shows you to a YouTube video. There's one on there for 45 quid. And I'm curious to know if the £45 one does anything that the... doesn't do something that the £100 one does. I'm also curious to know if they work with trucks. But for the sake of also clearing codes in cars and stuff like that, something you'd always got for a £100 investment, it might be worthwhile. So if anyone knows anything, again, the wise guys, anyone knows anything about the Blue Driver or like one of those sort of coded readers that clicks into the CPU of the car, please let me know, and of course I will pass it on. Godzilla's, he says, nice one, Pete. Now this is on waiting time. Nice one, Pete. The main problem I get is the 20 minutes free. When does the clock start? You can't set things in stone, and it always needs to be flexible. If the clock starts after you ignore the first 20 minutes, so if you're there for an hour and the first 20 minutes doesn't count, you're looking at, say, £13.33, call it a tenner. Now, he goes into this in detail. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a video on what is written because I think it's valuable, and I'm going to do my response to it and what I think, and then maybe you guys can comment too. It's just something on waiting time, that's all. But thanks for your input as always, mate, and like I say, I'm going to do you a personal video on that. I think it's worth it. Starting out, right, for you with another regular feature. So Alan Partridge, I'm nicking it from him. Welcome to another regular feature of the show, starting out. Anyone who's starting out, we're going to give them a bit of a heads up. So, Sheena Darvish, he says, hi mate, I'm joining the CX and I received a call from them and they were talking about £1,350 for the first year to join the CX. Can you please kindly talk about this? I don't know how much it is to join the CX. All I say is, if you're going to join, tell them you want the rock bottom package. Owner driver, no frills, basic, as cheap as you can get. And also say, I've spoken to Pete, or I watch Pete's videos, and he says if someone recommends you, you give a free month. Well, he's recommended me, and he said, I want the free month. Not me, you want the free month, because I don't get nothing. The other mod pay me, they don't. But if you can get free time out of them, please do. They'll say yes or no. It's worth asking the question. Dave Gibbs, he says, hi Pete, do you know how to join the CX for a small van? Just Google it. There is a link to my website which comes up at the end screen where it tells you how to join the CX, or just type Courier Exchange into Google. It's going to be all over there. Just Google it. Like I say, I don't gain anything out of it, so Google them, ring them, get as much as you can. Team Elite UK. It says, Pete, just starting out as an owner driver looking to buy an 18-ton rigid. Do I get a box or a curtain side? For the most jobs on the Courier Exchange, I always recommend 18-ton curtain side, because a lot of things are side-loaded. Also, it's less grief because it's side-loaded. And a tuck-under tail lift. You want a tuck-under tail lift because if you've got one of them big fat tail lift that sits on the back, it won't go on a bay. And a lot of jobs, you pick the job up, it's got to go to a distribution centre, turn up with your massive tail lift on the back, and they'll go, you can take that back. They won't take it off with a fork, so they won't find a way. They'll just go, see you later. And then you might have to return it for free. So, yeah, double curtain, curtain side, tuck under tail. On to the miscellaneous. Right, Craig MCG125. He says, What are people charging for refused loads to be returned? I have said I'll do it at the same rate out. Both times were held overnight for an AM delivery. Both times accepted without a sharp intake of breath. For a return load, you get what you can, and a lot of time it's the lucrative return load. Arguments can be made that you can even charge them more. Because you can turn around, if, for example, you picked a load up going from Portsmouth to Dunstable in the afternoon, because you live in Dunstable, and they say it's got to go back to Portsmouth, they won't accept it. You go, well, I've got to then drive to Portsmouth, then drive back to Dunstable. I'll go down to Portsmouth, I'll get a hotel for the night, or you've got to find someone to take it off. In that situation, you go, look, I'll do it, but I really don't want to. Just be honest. You know, the world would be a better place if we were honest. Be honest. Negotiate with the guys. I'm going to do a separate video on that one because there's more to go into there. But, yeah, you can at least charge exactly the same to bring it back. Oh, but then having said that, I've always said, if I take a load out and they refuse it, and it's my first job of the day, and the second job's going to take me home, I would say to them, look, you can have it for half price. You can have it for 2/3 of the price. It's going to take me home. I'll do you a favour. Because, you know, I've got no dead miles, I can go straight home afterwards. But, yeah, like I say, we will go into that in greater detail. Supercross says, morning, I'll go into greater detail. I've done enough detail there, but I'll go into greater detail just in case anyone needs to look that point up, particularly, and then it'll be, you know, like a separate heading. Supercross again. Pleased to hear from you making comments, my friend. Nice to see a new guy, like, you know. Morning, Pete. Are you getting much work from the pallet networks? No. Don't use pallet networks. We basically get most of our work either from the CX or our own end user subscribers, quite a few of which are starting to pick up a bit now. Word is getting out there. Do a decent job. Fingers crossed, you know. We did use that returnloads.net, waste of time. Most of it either comes from CX or just customers. And Supercross also says, why charge less for a backload if you're covering the same miles? So again, that's what we'll cover in detail when we go into Craig MCG125. Jeremy Hawke said, because we're talking about the fact that we did the cabotage. You know, I did forget the comment in between to the guy who commented. Thanks very much. I'm sorry I missed you. He said, this is a stitch up to the UK transport industry. The law is being applied here and we can't enjoy it in the EU. Companies will now start losing business to EU wagons undercutting. To me, it's a bit like saying, fishing rights. You can come and fish in our waters, but we can't come and fish in yours. It's exactly the same thing. The one thing I will say, I was having a conversation with Giuseppe and Ian. Is it Ian? I forget his name. Yeah, he's Ian. Up the road, who both run Arctics, and Giuseppe's a big-time Charlie, kind of biggish-time Charlie, certainly bigger than me. And they were telling me, Giuseppe said, I had a driver come in from Italy, and he said, I had a return load going back to Milan. He said, I've got a return load for you back to Milan. Do you want it? He went, no, not interested. And he said, look, he said the paperwork. He said, I will have the paperwork ready for you. So by the time you get down to Dover, the paperwork will be sitting there waiting for you. He said, I'm not interested. He said, it's such a headache. He said, even to get out of the country at the moment empty, you need, he said, before you could just open the door. Empty, yeah, on you go, mate. No, not anymore. Now you need paperwork to get out empty. It's just loopy. On top of this, I mean, they told me, I said, oh, well, I don't believe you. Apparently, there's going to be changes to the driving rules where they now say you don't have to reverse on your test. I said, no, I said, you're winding me up. I said, I don't believe you. Talking nonsense. Went home and Googled it. It's true. They're thinking about changing the rules for towing vehicles. They're just desperate to try and get drivers in. The whole thing's crazy. I think there's certainly another video coming up on this one, I tell you. Mental. Tom Marshall says, right, he says, dude, he said, the more you talk about it and put it on here, the more you will lose us money. Stop spreading word of the app. You're not the first to say this, Tom. I've done you an own personal video. I've covered it before, but there's a couple of other bits I wanted to add, so I've added another. It'll come up soon. And also it says, for the sake of 5,000 subscribers. 5,000 subscribers is kind of a big deal on YouTube. It's taken me a very long time to get here. I'm quite proud of it, like, you know, and I'm still trying to build that one. But I've done you a video with a little bit more explanation, and I know I've done it before, so you can forward it if you've heard it all before. But there is a few other points I just wanted to add, like, you know. Colin Crookston says, I listen to Audible while driving, can't find your books on there. They're not, mate. I'm a small-time Charlie. I thought about it. I tried once trying to record it myself, like on YouTube segments. So if you got that YouTube thing, the premium, you can play it without seeing it, or you can listen to it. I'm not great at reading out loud, as you probably know, and went off piste a couple of times. And no, unfortunately, it's not the case at the moment. If anybody knows anything about recording books on YouTube, well, I've said this before, for Audible or anything, let me know. But no, unfortunately not. Maybe one day. It's a shame because they're really good, but maybe one day. Domain name guy says, you could put your YouTube shorts on Patreon, P-A-T-R-E-P-N, which people will pay you a small amount of money for additional PayPal links and donations. I probably could, but I don't know what it is, and I don't want the money. You know, I get the money from the adverts. I get the money from the other mob, the circuit mob, the adverts, the insurance people sometimes. Don't want the money from you. You watch the adverts at the beginning. That's enough for me. Thanks very much. And you also comment and you contribute and you help me. Nah, it's fine. Say that now. One day says, you much. Yeah, I'm going to charge everybody. Cheddar cheese for Pete. Not that nice. Really not. We are on it. Says, when quoting on a job on the CX, should you include toll charges as an extra or just add it on the quote without mentioning it? There's a video coming on this. Your quote is your quote. If you get hit by tolls after, that's your problem, but we'll go into detail on that because once again that's a video that could really needs its own heading. Thanks for the comment. Jim on the Run says in very shouty letters, do not go to the factoring company. You are a prisoner, and when times come good, it will cost you a fortune to get out. Trust me, I've been there. Yeah, it cost us to get out of our first factoring company, and they were shysters. And it turned out we didn't get a lot of the money they should have paid us. The problem is with some people, Jim, on the Run, like me, I wouldn't have started without a factoring company. The whole thing never would have happened, because when I was on the floor, when I was doing the markets, I couldn't run for 2 months without a factoring company. So if you can do it without, God, yes, do it without. If you have to use them, either get a good one, and I've got to say Skipton's are very good for the dough they charge and for the things they do. And don't get me wrong, if I recommend someone to Skipton's, they take them. They're supposed to pay me a piano. I've never had it yet, but and they're very fussy about the people they take as well. It's kind of like if you can afford to go to a factoring company, you don't need a factoring company. You know that old adage, a bank is an organisation that will lend you an umbrella when it's not raining. Kind of like that. But yeah, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. Go to your brother-in-law, go to your uncle, go to your mates, whack up a credit card, pay off as quick as you can. And then when you're in, you're in. Ski Savoli says, I'm old, so have a 7.5 ton license on my license. I too am old and have 7.5 ton on my license. Although now I've got 80, I've now got class 2 on my license too. He said, I also have CPC and a taco card, as I have category D coach license, but I'm able to run a 7.5 tonner because you've got granddad rights. You can drive a 7.5 ton. Surely you need an operator's license, Colin. Yes, unfortunately, Colin, you do. You don't need an operator's license to drive a truck, but you need an operator's license to run a truck. So I could sit in an office and I could have 10 trucks. I could be 21 and just have a motorbike license. I don't know, or I could get the bus, but I could still run 10 trucks. I couldn't drive them. But if you're going to drive a truck, you also need to be able to run the truck or have someone else running that truck for you. So yes, you can't just. That's why I said lorries are the way forward. We should all be driving 18 ton, double, tuck under tail lifts, but trucks are involved. You can't just jump in a truck and drive it. And if that's the case, Luton van tail lift. Curtain side. Marius Way. Is Bristol a good area for the CX? Bristol's on the cusp. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst. I'm going to do a video on this for you, mate, because it's another one worth going into. Things that are on the cusp, and things that are on the cusp because they're in the zone. Because now, as far as I'm concerned, London might be may as well be underwater. It used to be just over there. Now it's like Atlantis. And the final word, this word goes to Lisa Mead, as she made the last comment before I did the thing. Oh, not quite the final word, because there's a conclusion. She said, I used to drive 7.5 tonners. Now I will only drive a van. I can't handle the government bullying. It's all just a scam to get money out of you. I can make more money in a long wheelbase van at the end of the year. Also, co-loading is the only way you ever get rich career driving. You just need to be completely honest with everyone involved. Lisa, you do her. You do you. I know she's saving up to jump on the CX, or I believe she was. Maybe you got there now. I hope you have. And I hope if you do, I hope it works out for you. As for co-loading is not prohibited on the exchange. Actually, the exchange is dedicated direct delivery dedicated vehicle. But you can co-load as long as you tell both parties that you're co-loading. And if you've got your own customer who doesn't really mind when it gets there, and you can then use the CX, go, look, I've got something on board, but I'm picking yours up first and dropping yours off, picking yours up and dropping yours off before I do this one. Most people are fine about it. Co-loading is not a no-no, it's just a no-no if you don't tell people about it and then disappear off for 3 hours to do another job when you should be doing theirs. And finally, in conclusion, we come to Steve Campbell, because I did the video on the multi-drop this week. And because, oh, by the way, anyone's got any comments on the multi-drop, please add them, because I'm going to do it monthly. I do it for the circuit people, and I do it to help the multi-drop people out, but mainly for the circuit people. But yeah, so any comments, if you've got experience from multi-drop, please add them. And anyone who's made comments on multi-drop, they will come up on the video. Steve Campbell says, because he did about Coultons, Coulton sacked me for that video, because he was working for Coultons and he uploaded a video of them broken down in a van outside a school entrance, so they fired him. Anyway, Steve, like I say, happy birthday for tomorrow, and I hope it's something and nothing, mate. I genuinely do. Chances are it probably is. So that's it. Getting a bit cold. Besides, beer o'clock, my birthday. I'm going to go and have a drink, and I've got a nice late job booked for tomorrow. Although I won't overdo it, I never do, and that means I can get up in the morning and take care and take money. Have a good Sunday, guys. Take care.